So over the past year, selling zero DT SPX premium has been a successful approach. That doesn't mean there haven't been losers, and the appropriate position sizing has been the key to let traders keep going forward. With how rapid zero DT trades are, even with each trade being defined risk, is there a distinct risk from getting a cluster of bad outcomes? That's what people want to know. Like, does the stuff cluster together? So let's see how daily risk translated to the weeklies in the zero DTs and how that depended on our strategy, strikes, and mechanics. It's hard to distinguish from what we're going to show you. Using 52 weeks worth of data in the SPX, zero DTs, we examined selling straddles as well as $10, $20, and $30 wide strangles. We also bought the long strangle to reduce the buying power. We also did iron flies with $10, $20, and $30 wings. So we threw everything in there, everything in the kitchen sink.
Okay.
All defined risk. All trades were placed at the market open. We considered managing winners at 10 and 25% of max profit, as well as leaving the trades on all day. We focused on the daily CVAR. How much risk are we taking? That's all we care about is risk. So forget about profits today.
Which is unusual because most people always say about how much money I can make on a trade. We like to look at it from a risk.
Today we only looked at worst 5% of all cases and contrasted with the weekly CVAR. So like, how many days does this thing pile up? Is there a lot of risk if you do it every day, basically? Let's go next slide. Again, this is going to be a little bit. So how much risk do we have if we do it on Monday and don't do it any other day versus doing it every single day? And the answer is a little less than half. So if you're targeting for 10% profit, you're not taking very much more risk doing it on every single day during the week as opposed to just one day. Like, the whole purpose of this study was you have as much risk if you do it on one day than if you do it every single day during the week.
So like so you're saying like picking and choosing versus just mechanically doing it every day.
If your target, forget about holding through expiration. If your target is 10% or 25%, and you do it every single day during the week, your outlier risk goes up, but not times 5, only times 1.5, something like that. That's the interesting thing. This is for straddles, but now go to the next slide. It doesn't change very much, but you actually take less risk doing $10 wide strangles. This is $20 wide strangles. This is what I just did, $20 wide strangle. This is what I tried to do. I didn't get filled. And if I did this every single day during the week, 2 times the risk of doing it one day, but not 5 times the risk. That's the whole point here.
Sure.
So if I did this every single day, my outlier risk of clustering, like what happens if everything goes wrong,
which makes sense. I know it's a random event, which would make it 50-50. You would expect the risk to be greater, but it's the strategy that kind of takes away that outlier risk of the play, of the daily play. You know, it's not like flipping a coin. You have an 80% pop when you're putting on the trade or close enough to it, 70 some odd percent pop.
Yeah. Yep. Let's go next slide. So we did 10, 20, and the $30 wide strangles is the same thing. We just wanted to show you that doesn't matter how far, the further you go out of the money, the less weekly risk you take, but the percentages stay the same, 1 to 2. So you take 5 days worth of risk and your outlier risk is the same as it would be of 2 times one day. That's the most important takeaway. Okay. And we don't really hold to expiration because that's not really fair. Then if we did an iron fly, now iron flies have defined much smaller defined risk.
Yes.
So the case of a $10 wide iron fly, you're basically taking almost no more risk on a daily basis than a weekly basis. But if you do it at 25% target, you're taking 3 times the risk. And that was the only thing that jumped up. It's still a much lower risk reward trade, but I think this will help people. So if you're doing iron flies where you're not taking very much risk, if you do it every single day, you're going to take about the same amount of risk for outliers. If you are going for a 10% profit, going for a 25% profit, you take about 3 times the risk. If you're doing what we do, which is sell the strangle by the wings or these really wide iron condors, it's a little different. Yeah, no, he covered, the research team covered every single, because some people like $10 wide iron flies, some people like $20, some people like $10 wide strangle, some people like straddle, some people like 20. We're a $20 wide. That's what we do. So these are exactly double the iron fly. It's just pretty straightforward at the 10% level. We're kind of in that 10 to 20% level. And this is the $30 wide iron fly. You're going to take, 2x the risk. It's maybe a little bit more here.
They all seem to be around that same 2x, don't they?
Yeah, they're all, that's the takeaway. That's the rule of thumb, is they're all around that 2x. While the overall selling 0DT premium has been a winning play, no matter what the method, we can tailor our approach to have a risk level that we're comfortable with. Undefined risk trades held through expiration have very similar bad days to bad weeks. But again, we reduced all the buying power by buying the wings. So then early management is good for our percentage of winning trades to reduce daily risk as well. But it made it harder for winners in a week to mitigate for bad losers. That's always going to be the case. And defined risk 0DT traders seemingly had the biggest reduction in risk from aggressive management of winners. And I think we've proven that point time and time again.
Yes, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.